What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, you would think that after seeing the absolute close to a landslide that Donald Trump won this election by, you would think that people would kind of change their rhetoric around once they see that the popular mandate is with Trump, that he's not Hitler. We didn't just vote in a Nazi to run the United States government, for crying out loud. You would think that they would sit back, reflect upon themselves just a little bit, to think maybe we were wrong. Maybe we didn't get this right. Maybe he's not a fascist. Maybe he's not Hitler. But no, what are they doing? They're doubling down on their rhetoric. Oh, my fascism is here to stay, y'all. We're never going to have an election ever again. And they are trying to ram this point home. They haven't missed a freaking step, you guys. Seriously, check this out.
That was the question they asked Viktor Orban, who's really considered a very strong. They said he's a strong man. Sometimes you need a strong man. He's a strong man.
They said he called President Xi brilliant. Well, he's a brilliant guy. He controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. I mean, he's a brilliant guy, whether you like it or not. And they go crazy.
Right. Say, it doesn't mean he's not evil, or it doesn't mean he's not.
Yeah, of course not.
Dangerous.
But actually, we have evil people in our country.
That Rogan clip, Director Brennan, is so reminiscent of an interview that Trump did with Joe Scarborough and the guy at Fox, O'Reilly, where he's questioning him about Putin, and he says, and Joe did and O'Reilly did, but he kills people, he kills journalists, and Trump defiantly says, we kill people too, and good on Mr. Rogan there to say it doesn't mean he's not dangerous, it doesn't mean he's not evil. And Trump sees no difference between the brutality in an autocracy and what his role will be as president. What signal does that send to you, Director Brennan?
It sends the signal that Donald Trump is most impressed by ruthless strength and wealth. And if you look at the people that he associates with and speaks highly of, whether it be of Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping or Viktor Orban, these are individuals who have been able to manipulate the politics and the system within their countries in order to suppress any opposition and to be the authoritarian leader that I think Donald Trump wants to be. Also, Elon Musk being the wealthiest person in the world, this is something that Donald Trump salivates over, and wants to have a person like Elon Musk very much associated and affiliated with the administration. When Donald Trump was elected in 2016, I was hoping that he was going to grow into the role of the presidency. In fact, I told the CI workforce, that once he assumes the responsibilities of the presidency, that he's going to recognize just how important that role is. And his first term was a serious disappointment in that regard. And unfortunately, I think we have a track record here. And now the second term, he's limited supposedly by the Constitution, by the law, into only 2 terms, that he is going to, I think, try to do as much as he can in order to be the disruptive leader, the autocratic, authoritarian leader that he wants to be. And so I do think that looking at the years ahead, this is going to be a very turbulent time, not just for U.S. national security and domestic policy, but also for the global landscape in terms of how the U.S. role is evolving and how Russia, China, and others are going to take advantage of that.
It's freaking hilarious to watch these people, because given the full context of that Joe Rogan interview and that specific part of that clip, he was actually talking about them. And then they go on to prove him right. He's saying, look, this guy, Xi Jinping, he's a smart guy, he's a tough guy, he's fierce. It's not saying he's good. It's not saying he's good whatsoever. It's not praising the autocratic leader of China. It's not praising him in the least. He's saying how absurd it is. These people just go crazy every time he says, oh, well, Xi Jinping is smart, or he's tough, or whatever, or any of these people. Says it's absurd. He's just saying that these people got into positions of power for a reason. Hey, that you can't be an idiot and run 1.6 billion people with an iron fist, for crying out loud, and then they come in and just prove his point for him. As a matter of fact, say, oh, he wants to be an autocrat, for crying out loud. Look at all this. But, he gives the game away a little bit right there, talking about, oh, we thought Donald Trump was going to come in and play ball with the deep state. No, this is why they hate this man so much. It's because he's not going to come in and capitulate to the establishment. He's not going to come in and just lay down and play ball with you guys. You guys are going to have to play ball with him. And that is very apparent. And it's definitely apparent how they have come after him since he left office. They tried everything they could to sway popular opinion against Trump while he was in office. And they did pretty good with a lot of people. There's a lot of Trump deranged people out there because what they do, it's convenient, it's clever. They'll take something out of context and then say, oh, well, he's praising Hitler and he's praising Xi Jinping and he's praising Putin, making people think that that's what he's doing, when no, that's not what he's doing. But it's so funny, and it's so funny to watch these people just roll around in their own piles of garbage, because that's all that is. Because people that look at the evidence, they look at everything laid out, they don't see that in Donald Trump. People that actually pay attention to what's going on. We see that, hey, the corporate press lied to us. They lied a lot. He never did anything autocratically inclined. Not in the least. What did he do? As a matter of fact, during the Summer of Love, when he had ample opportunity to bring in the military, as they say he wants to do this time. Oh, he wants to go after his political enemies. He had every opportunity. He had an entire summer to call in the National Guard. What did he do? He allowed the states to make that decision instead of him invoking the Insurrection Act and calling in the National Guard to quell the riots. He allowed the states to handle their own business. Does that sound like something a dictator who is ruling with an iron fist would do? Does that sound like somebody who praises Xi Jinping? Do you think Xi Jinping would view that as, oh, he did a good job there, not forcing people to bend to his will? No. These people are insane. And you know what? Donald Trump not capitulating to the deep state, I believe, is the reason why we all voted him back into office again as the 47th president of the United States. But that is not stopping the deep state.
Know at what level this is. It just seems like it's informal discussions. I guess it's understandable they would have those discussions. It also, Scott, is it?
Look, I don't like this, because what's Donald Trump supposed to think? You know, he's sitting down there, he's the president-elect, and now he's got to read the newspaper tonight that the unelected bureaucracy of the federal government is having meetings at some level about how to thwart or countermand the commander-in-chief. I don't care if it's at the Pentagon or at the HUD or Ag Department. It doesn't matter. The unelected bureaucracy of this government answers to the civilian and duly elected leadership that we just did. And what if you were in his shoes and you just won the popular vote with a clear mandate, and now you got to read that these unelected bureaucrats are plotting against you? What would you think? If they have problems, let me finish. If they have problems, they should not have meetings that then leak to the press. If they have ideas or things, they should call the president's office and say, hey, we'd like to have some discussions for planning purposes. But secret meetings that leak? Terrible way to get off to a start with the new administration.
Well, I agree that that's maybe not the best way to do it. However, Trump has set them up to be in this situation where they think that he's coming after them.
You know, I saw that clip and I'm like, yeah, that's no surprise. That is no surprise whatsoever. Donald Trump has promised to come in and obliterate the deep state. Of course they're going to be scared. Of course they're going to have secret meetings. Oh, what can we do to retain power? And they constantly talk about Trump in the 2020 election. Oh, it was an insurrection. What do you think that is? He's going to come in and clean these people out as quickly and as efficiently as he possibly can, because he knows the threat of the deep state. He knows what keeping these people in positions of power means for his presidency. That means it's going to be a lot harder for him to get his agenda across, which is peace through strength. Stopping these wars abroad, not funding war because there's not going to be any wars, trying to create peace all over the place, deregulate in certain places, uphold regulations in other places. Drill, baby, drill. And they want to stop this. Why? Because they want to keep up the status quo, because these people are in power and they want to remain in power. So they're doing everything they can to retain the status quo. The military-industrial complex under the Biden administration has flourished, for crying out loud. And these people are just damaging our country. Right? $1.8 trillion deficit spending. That's absurd. And the Biden administration has capitulated to these people and just say, oh, well, we'll give you increases here and increases there. When we don't have that money, we got $36 trillion in debt. How do you think that's going to play out with the everyday American person when they think, oh, how the hell are we going to deal with this? $36 trillion in debt. That is outright absurd. But these people want to retain power, and now they're having secret meetings to figure out how to deal with Donald Trump. And you wonder why. He might be a little bit paranoid. You wonder why he wants to go in and obliterate the deep state. Yeah, I don't think these people should remain in power at all. I think he needs to come in. And they're constantly talking about he wants to replace all these bureaucrats with his own lackeys. No, that's not what he wants whatsoever. Sure, he does want to put some loyal people in there. Who wouldn't? That's common sense. You don't want to put somebody in a position that are secretly plotting to oust you or do something to you in the background. You don't want to keep those people in those places of power that have the ability to just come after you for no reason. They can just make up evidence like they did the first time. Huh. Imagine that. Of course you want to get these people out of there. They are part of the destruction of this country. This government is supposed to be of, for, and by the people of this great United States. It's not supposed to be run by unelected bureaucrats. That's not how it's supposed to be whatsoever. But that's what it has turned into. And Donald Trump is coming in and saying it's time for a change. It's time for this government to be run for the people and by the people, not these unelected bureaucrats. We need to cut and reduce federal power. He's not going to put lackeys in their place. He's just going to cut these people out and just leave it at that. Kill some of this bureaucracy that is the swamp monster that is Washington, D.C. Just kill it outright. And hey, look, I'm right there along with him. I imagine most Republican voters are right there along with it. I imagine most libertarians are screaming, just cheering for this. Yes, kill the federal power. We don't need federal bloat. We don't need a 40% expansion of federal employees by the Biden administration. We do not need that. We do not need 87,000 new IRS agents. I know the argument for that was, oh, but there's like 30,000 of these people that are going to be retiring over the next 5 years. Why do you need 87,000 people to replace 30,000 people? Yeah, that's a big difference, y'all. But that was the excuse. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. We need to cut federal power. And that's what Donald Trump is going to do. And that's what these people are scared about. They are just running, shaking in their freaking boots. Hey, and I don't blame them. But we need to have a reckoning in this country. We need to take our government back. And I think Donald Trump is the person to get that ball rolling. He's not the savior. He's not going to fix everything. So we've got a lot to clean up in this country. Congress is corrupt as hell. And that's supposed to be our representatives? No, I'm sorry. We need to get the lobby interest out of Congress because that is currently who is running that side of our government. The lobby interest has more power than any American, any and all Americans, as a matter of fact. We can make our voices heard, but that doesn't matter because the lobbyists can just go buy these politicians off. And they will vote in the interest of that lobby instead of voting in your interest. But that's slowly changing. And it's not changing nearly fast enough. But it is changing, folks. At least on the Republican side. I've seen some change on the Democrat side, but on the Republican side, it's a growing coalition of America First politicians that don't care about all these donors and all this lobby interests and all this corruption going on. Right? A lot of people, like, this is a plant from Congress to get people to get behind term limits for congressmen. I don't buy into that. That's a plant, if you ask me. That's something to get your mind off of the lobby interest. That should be obliterated outright. Just all the money in politics like that. Hey, look, I understand running campaigns and donations and all that good stuff. You need to have all that. But what we don't need is the lobby interests buying off politicians in Washington, D.C., getting these people to vote in the interests of whatever corporation or whatever interests that they represent. That's what they do. That needs to be eliminated. That would eliminate 90% of the corruption in Congress. Just right off top, just boom, 90%. Term limits, that's just ancillary. Nobody cares about that. That's just off to the side. I don't think that's a good way to govern. I think congressmen can stay there 30, 40 years. Once you're in there for a while, if we get rid of the corruption that is that lobby interest, I don't think that will be an issue. Term limits, in other words. Because somebody in Congress, they know how it works. They know what laws to make. If the people continually vote these people in, they get the popular mandate. I'm fine with that. What I don't want is that corrupt lobby interest. I think that needs to go. And I think that's what Donald Trump understands this. But he also understands that he's not going to be able to do anything about that. I don't think. That's going to have to be something done by Congress itself. I think that's all I got for this one, y'all. Y'all don't forget, do me a big favor and smash that like button for me. I would really, really appreciate it. If you're new around here and like to stay up to date with all this stuff with politics and everything that's going on and how you're being manipulated, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button for me. But that's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.